your estimation whether there will be in near future the opportunity for the Lebanon to return back to this high-level position in the Arab and Middle East role. It's interesting. Also, we would like for you to give some hints whether your famous future team project will gain some momentum in the near future, and also will be, if it will be possible, you could give us your attitude to the role our country could play in the Middle East in the obtaining of the new momentum of the peace process. Yesterday we had in Moscow a very interesting meeting in which there was taken the decision that we should start drafting the new concept of our policy as far as Middle East, Africa, Asia countries are concerned, based on the friendship and the cooperation and our traditions. Actually, this is only the beginning of the drafting. So if you could give us your vision, what you are expecting from us in the future, it will be also very much interesting and have also some practical value, because there was a decision that I am responsible for the initial drafting of this concept. So we very much happy that we have the opportunity to meet you and to hear your vision of the situation in the Lebanon and in the Middle East region as a whole. You're welcome. أهلا وسهلا. أهلا بك. مساء الخير.
Спасибо, Prof. Thank you for this introduction, and I have the honor, and I want to thank also Murad for the best cooperation to be together this night to discuss about Middle East, about Lebanon future, and to talk about the possibility of stability of the new potential with the new administration in the US, Democrat, and also with the new era related to the Middle East. I'm talking about what's happening in Syria. I'm talking about the situation in Iraq, what's happening in Libya and Yemen, what we expect related to negotiation between the American and Iranian, and of course, the policy of Turkey toward the region, and the new competition related to the gas and oil in East Mediterranean basin, and the symposium that Israel, Egypt, and other European countries, they are preparing, and they start to have some meetings related to the security of energy in the East Mediterranean basin, related also to support of gas and oil to Europe, and also what we can expect in all this region related to the future of terrorism, the future of the radicalism related to some organization like Daesh or Al-Qaeda or other, and also to, if we can say, the competition between European country, US, China, and of course, related to Russia policy. So from this big picture, I will start to talk about what's happening now in Lebanon, related from 17th of October 2019, the demonstration, NGOs, and other instability related to social problems, related to economic problem, related to political problem, start to affect and to be more implicated in our national security, related to the national social security also, because with coronavirus we start to see also some clashes between security and army and the demonstration. And last month we have the clashes in the north of Lebanon in Tripoli, this capital of North Lebanon, in Mediterranean Sea. We see that before few years, before to be especially before 2000, before 2 years, we are talking about an agreement between Rosneft, Gazprom, and the Lebanese authority to have tanks for fuel and gas in this city of Lebanon in the Mediterranean Sea, near to the border, Syrian border. So what's happening last month in this city, it seems also related to some activities with Daesh. And we see that last week in Lebanon, security and army stopped 100 of persons involved with radicalism and related with the regional radicalism, like in Syria related to Daesh, al-Nusra, al-Qaeda, and they are well connected with some organization in Iraq. So in this way, I just to start to talk about the impact of the regional instability, terrorism, and other implication inside Lebanon. This is one. Two, we have like a political problem or crisis related to the new government, a new political balance between the political parties. And of course, we are talking about involvement or some competition. In 4th of August, we have big explosion in Beirut city that destroy half of the capital in the port of Beirut. So with this explosion, after 6 months till now, we don't know what's happened, who is involved, who has bring this material. What happened? It was a terrorist attack. It was by mistake. It was related to the corruption. And of course, just after this explosion, we see that the Turkish politics arrived to Lebanon, and after it, the French president arrived to Lebanon, and we see that like the competition in East Mediterranean basin related to the energy, related to the competition between Turkish, Egypt, Turkish, Europe start, and we see that Lebanon start to be involved in this competition. So we have the second problem related to the regional competition and the implication in Lebanon. The third one, we have to talk also about the policy, the new policy of the US toward Lebanon. So with the administration, Trump administration, we see that American radical ideas supporting some policies like sanctions are against politicians, against the parties who are not involved directly, if I can say, in terrorism or activities supporting terrorism. So this sanction start to be related to the Syrian situation, that this political party or some political figure under sanction, American sanction, because the Americans say that they are involved in supporting some company, financing through some business, the economy in Syria against the sanction put it against President Bashar al-Assad or against Syria. So in this way, also we have some impact in Lebanon. Number 4, we can talk about also what's happening related to some crisis, governmental or political or competition or clashes between American and Iranian and Iraqi and Iraq. So Iraq also have some implication because also it's it's a continuous policy toward Lebanon. We have some economic exchange. We have some political and religious relation between Lebanon and Iraqi, the Shia in Iraq, and also the involvement of the Kurd policy related to, if I can say, the new system, if it will be spreaded in the region related to federalism or a new partition for the geography and demography of the region. So this is also an implication. Number 5, I have to say that what's happening in Lebanon, it's also related to what we can see happening now in Tunis. Tunis, it's not directly involved with the trouble, but also we can say that Tunis is a hub. So when we can see a problem between Algeria and Morocco, when we see implication of the Libyan crisis related to the Egyptian policy in Libya, or a competition between Libya, Emirate, France, and Qatar against Qatar and Turkish, we can see that this implication can also have some implication, or some of this policy can affect Lebanon. Number 6, we have to say that related to the system, political system in Lebanon, we can see that some corruption related between corruption, political parties, political figure, and also the regional crisis from Libya, from Algeria. We talk about some illegal business, money laundering, and also the involvement of the central bank related to the currency, Lebanese currency, to the US dollar sanction related to the dollar. And also we can say that Americans through some Arab country start to affect the stability of the economy in Lebanon, and to affect some politician related to Hezbollah, or related to, if I can say, the new era related to peace process, who start with the Emirate and some Arab other country related to Israel. So what we can say that in all this preparation, I can see that the second wave of an Arab Spring start to be very fruitful in the region. So we can see that the political negotiations start in Libya, but in the same time, demonstrations start in Tunis. We can see that also in Iraq, they was preparing for the election in June. Now they postponed the election till October, and demonstration return in Iraq related also to the corruption policy of Iraq, relation with Iran, a competition between Iran and the US. We see also that we are looking for an election in Syria in few months. So who will win the future of President Assad? The committee related to the political discussion in Geneva, they stop. So other alternative, we can see that with the Democrat in the US, at the same time, we see in Yemen, the Democrat start to promote a peace process with between US and Iran. But in the same time, they put the Houthi as not under the list of terrorism, as terrorist organization. But in the same days, we see that an attack was against Abha in Saudi Arabia airport. After it was like clashes and the war start or restart against Maghreb in Yemen. At the same time, we see in Iraq like an attack against Turkish army who are occupied the north of Iraq, related to the Kurd activities, related to other, let's say, balance of power between Turkish and regional power. So what happened against the Turkish army in Sinjar, also we have to look at it. What happened also in in Tripoli and Lebanon last weeks, also we have to look up about it. So in the same time, we see peace process, but we see in the same time a restart of activities of clashes, of competition, military competition, and intelligence activities. With this new era, let's say, with a new administration, Democrat in the US, we feel that a new support for the NGOs start to support the demonstration as promotion for democracy, change of regime, of systems. But at the same time, we can see that what Hillary Clinton say, that we support the terrorism, we support the Islamist organization to change the behavior of the region, to change the behavior of the Islam, as she say. I think that with President Biden now, American will support NGOs to change policies, to change regime, at the same time also supporting the proxy organization as the Islamist, as other activities that we can say we see it. So the clashes in Maghreb, the clashes in Sinjar in Iraq, North Iraq, clashes in Tripoli, some clashes start also in between Libya, Egypt, and also between Sudan and Ethiopia. It's a beginning of the new wave that I think that the new Democrat administration start to promote it for the next 4 years at least, and to involve more countries. And I think the war of gas start, and this war can affect two big countries in the region related to the gas. The first one, it will be Algeria in North Africa, because it's, if we can say, as I say, about Egypt, about Libya war, about competition Algeria, Morocco, we can see that Algeria can be affected because of the potential, because of the involvement, and also because of the new competition, because Americans don't want that any company like Total or Russian company to be involved or to invest in gas in the East Mediterranean or in North Africa, and to use this investment to spread the gas to Europe, as we can see that what happened in Nord Stream last few weeks, and also what happened in Ukraine and in Belarus, and also what we can see related to also in Bulgaria, that change of the gas pipe through Turkish line, and also about, let's say, what happened in Azerbaijan with Armenia. So if I can say that the big competition is also a part of the regional competition in the region, Lebanon can give us like an indicator that the new wave of an Arab Spring will start, or it start from now, and we can see a lot of these clashes in few months and years, and the war of gas will be using this second wave of the Arab Spring for a new settlement, geographic settlement, demographic settlement, and at the same time change of regimes in the region. This is why I think that American will invest in the Muslim Brotherhood organization. This is why we see that in Mualla, in Saudi Arabia, it was a meeting and the reconciliation between Qatar and Saudi Arabia. This is why we can see a new competition between Iran and Iraq, between Iran and Turkish policy in the region. So what happened in Maghreb, it's a competition between the Houthi and the Muslim Brotherhood Al-Islah party. What's happened in Sinjar also, it was the first time that some rocket related to Hashabi, to Shia organization, that they target region of the Kurd. And also it was like a message and it was like a start of clashes between Kurd, Turkish, proxy of Iran, and Turkish. The same in Lebanon, North Lebanon in Tripoli. Some clashes start with demonstration, and maybe it can take another competition between Daesh and Hezbollah, let's say in Lebanon. So Israel will profit. The competition or the clashes directly between Israel and Hezbollah, it will not be because Hezbollah, as after the war in Syria, maybe we can see this internal clashes that can involve Hezbollah and keep the potential and the over military, if I can say, win that happened with the first Arab Spring wave. This is why I think the second Arab Spring wave, it can be to finish from all the argument or organization used to reconstruct the great, if I can say great, or the new Middle East. And of course, we have to focus now on the investment related directly with the gas and oil and related with the new regime that they have to serve the American policy related to the security of Europe, related to American are searching to be the only pioneer big power in the world. And of course, this is why Biden tried to promote the new relation between Europe and American through NATO. And in this way, I can say that NATO is a part of this instability of this wave where they will invest. I think that the second after Algeria will be Iran, because if it will be some clashes through proxy, it means Iran will be also under pressure related to some NGOs. We see that before a few years, it was the Green Revolution in Iran. And why not that American, they are preparing in the same time negotiation with America, with the Iranian, but in the same time, some changement with the political stability or social stability of Iran related to the elections coming in June. So we have to expect this war, which it's a proxy war, it's a new wave of the Arab Spring. This is how I can say, or I can analyze what we are coming in the region, or what we can expect from the new policy of the US, or what we can see in Lebanon or some other country in the region, from North Africa and Algeria to the Middle Asia and Iran. For me, I finish my speech. If there is some, sure, some questions, it will be fruitful maybe also to communicate directly.
Thank you so much, dear Professor Rizk. As always, it's a great pleasure to see you with us. And as always, your presentation was so amazing and interesting and complex. So, dear colleagues, now we are going to switch to our question and answer session. But before we get started, I would remind that today with us is the director of Isticharia, Professor Imad Rizk. He's from Lebanon. He's one of the prominent expert in political processes, not only in Lebanon, but in whole Middle East region. He also good friend of us and have a lot of different projects with him. And one more time, thank you for your presentation. Now we switch to questions, please. If you want to ask question, just use raise your hand function and we'll provide for you an opportunity. Professor Bakanov, maybe you have some question or yes?
Voice.
Yes, it's just try now, please, one more time. Turn on your microphone.
Yes. Now it's okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Well, it's very interesting start of our discussion. Traditionally, when we have with us the Dean of the Faculty and the Honorable President of the Council of Defense and International Policy, Professor Karaganov, usually he sets the first question. Maybe we'll follow our tradition, and Mr. Sergei Karaganov will ask the first question on these subjects which were covered so brilliantly by the speaker.
So maybe he will ask later. Now we will continue.
Okay.
Because,
okay. Vera Vladimir is here.
So as I understand, yes, she's here, but maybe we will give her floor at the end of our discussion. Now we will start with a question. If nobody from our participants, Professor Baklam, do you have any question? If not, I can ask.
Well, actually, yes. Yes, I would like to ask a question dealing with the oil and gas. This is, the issue which gives money for the development of the countries concerned. So I have two questions. First, whether Lebanon is content over the present day negotiations process with Israel as far as the Mediterranean gas fields are concerned. The second question is as follows. Well, actually, we see the beginning of a very tough process of the probable division of the gas, fields in the Mediterranean. On the 5th of the next month in March, we'll have our consultations on the Middle East with the Americans. And as far as I could understand, one of the questions will be the possibility of tranquilization, the situation in the Arab world and Mediterranean as far as this gas question is concerned. So my ask is to comment in more details. What could we expect in the future in the development of this question of the gas fields in the Mediterranean? And is it possible for any collective measures, any form of collective cooperation in trying to settle this very acute problem? Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for this very nice, very important question also. As I say, the competition, next competition, it will be related to the gas and oil in the East Mediterranean basin. So this is the big issue. But in reality, we have two problems. The first problem is that the US and in the Congress last year, October 2019. So in the same time, with the new, as I say, the new wave of the Arab Spring start in the region, and especially also in Lebanon and Tunis and Iraq, they was discussing and they agree, Democrat and Republican, about a law in the US to join the security of the East Mediterranean basin with the energy. So for the US, the energy in East Mediterranean start to be a national security for them. And after, in the same time, it was a meeting between Israel, Egypt, Greece, and Italy, and Cyprus. So in this meeting, Lebanon, Turkish, and Syria is out of this meeting. But what we can see that they was talking about a pipeline to use or this investment from the East Mediterranean, from let's say Tamar, Israeli field in the East Mediterranean, and Egyptian field, and to pipes this gas to Europe. But also it seems that it was impossible, because we see that Turkish make like a agreement with Libya to stop any agreement between Egypt and Greece. And now we see that last month it was maybe the 26th meeting between Turkish and Greece to fix some problem related to the sea border. And also we know that Egypt and Greece, they don't agree about a sea border between them. They just fix some two problems related to Crete and another island in Greece. So also we have this, let's say, this problem, this crisis. So now the US is using the public policy, their their way of sanction to arrive to fix this problem and to join the military activities, the foreign affairs, and the energy minister in one, let's say, in one bunch. So for them, for the US policy, foreign policy of this country, especially Egypt, Israel, Greece, and Cyprus, is one. Foreign policy, military defense minister, and energy. And they are trying to make from Cyprus the headquarter for their influence in the East Mediterranean Sea. So in this way, the American policy is using, or they are trying to get Lebanon also to be a part from this agreement. But we know that Lebanon is in two partitions. One partition, it's pro or proxy with the resistance against American, against Israel, but the other, let's say half of the Lebanese policy or the politics or parties, they have some relation with the US and Europe. In this way, we see the clashes, we see the demonstration, we see that every part of the Lebanese party try to arrive to finalize this crisis for the benefits of their policy. This is why I was talking about wave of the new Arab Spring. This is why also we start negotiation, indirect negotiation, if I can say, related to the border, but it's not related with the peace process with Israel. So we have a problem with the land border. We have 14 points that we have a problem with Israel, between Lebanon and Israel. And now we start to have a big problem in negotiation. We make some meetings through the UN and in participation with the US to fix the problem of the sea border, but it seems we are going for a new complication. The complication is that Lebanon using, if I can say, the problem, the international law of sea, find that we have more than 860 kilometers square in the sea. We have more, it means we are talking about 2,200 kilometers square. This proposition was rejected from the Israeli side. So what will happen, if I can say, is that there is no government in Israel. Israel is going for a new election in next few months. Netanyahu will continue, or it will be a new government, new political settlement in Israel. In Lebanon, on the other side, also we don't have a government. We still have this problem, internal problem, that affect to fix the internal problem, to have a new government. In this way, there is no opportunity to continue negotiation. And at the same time, the changement of the administration in the US. So it was with Trump that he was promoting himself that a savior for Israel and for the Jews. Now with a Democrat, with Biden, maybe he will make another tactics, or he will have another strategy toward the negotiation or to all the settlement in the region. So Israel, the policy of Israel is fixed with a political problem inside Israel. For Lebanese also government through UNIFIL negotiation also it's fixed. So we expect that all this negotiation will stop till the summer. After June, it means after the election in Iran. So the new administration in the US will make like if they make an evaluation, if they profit to be involved, to continue to be involved with this negotiation, because it's not a negotiation related to Lebanon and Israel, it's related also to all the border, sea border, and maybe it will open a new discussion after summer with between Lebanon and Syria, because also we expect that we have the same problem of sea border related to the north border between Lebanon and Syria. So what we expect is this problem will not be solved. Israel is going to have some exploration through a Greece company in Karish field in the border, Lebanese-Israeli border, the sea. They cannot go far away with this because also security of the investment will be involved. The tension between Lebanon and Israel will be maybe related to the resistance in Lebanon, Hezbollah. So I think that we can see some clashes. Maybe we can see that Israel will stop to invest in this field in Karish, because as the negotiation, less negotiation stop, Lebanon have the right to get, let's say, 32% of Karish field. And this is why Israel also was rejecting this idea and was promoting that the deal was just for 800 kilometers square, not 2,200. So I think that the investment will be stopped. The project is under the US policy, and the competition with the US, as we can expect, Russian, they are not so involved in this competition. And at the same time, I see that the settlement will be till the end of this year, because also Lebanon will open a new investment for a new field in April or May 2022. So I think related to coronavirus, related to this crisis negotiation border, I expect everything will be freeze till maybe June 2022.
But in general, do you envisage that we are at the start of the whole era of seabed resources conflicts in the Middle East, in the Mediterranean? Is it the start of the long and very difficult period of well, these attempts to solve such kind of problems well, in semi-military and political ways? You expect it's just the start, or what will be, or what are the other phases of the development of the affairs in this gas problem?
Through this panel, I was expecting a new involvement of Russian to make a balance of power in the East Mediterranean basin, because if there is no balance, we will see that the proxy, like Hezbollah, we can see that the Turkish can go far away in this competition, And why not to see clashes between Egyptian and Turkish? Why not to see a new settlement also related to Turkish-Israeli agreement that also can affect the stability of Lebanon and Syria, and can affect, on the other hand, the power or all the role that Russian was made to make peace in the region, in Syria, or to promote the peace process between Palestinian and Israeli, or between Israel and Syria in the future. So if we cannot make balance, everything can be. And at the same time, if the Iranian will feel that they will lose a card in Lebanon or in Syria, or they feel that Turkish will be more aggressive against them related to some other field, why not to be maybe to involve the region in unstable situation? This is why I think that promotion of peace must be related also with the presence, with some activities, with some balance. This is why also we can see that French, they cannot have a resolution for the conflict, like let's say in Lebanon and the region. The same also for the European country. This is why we need more involvement of Russia to make stability or to make balance, or we can expect clashes or unstable situation. It means no exploration. It means no business.
Thank you so much. Murat, maybe we'll give the opportunity for our participants to raise their questions. Could you help in
Yes,
distributing? Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Baklanov, and thank you so much, Dr. Rizk, for your comprehensive answers. But before we get continue our questions answer session, I want to give floor to our head of the School of International Regional Studies, Faculty of World Economy and International Affairs, HSE University, Professor Vera Vishnikova. Dr. Vishnikova, the floor is yours, please.
Yes, thank you very much, dear guest, dear friend, Imad Rizk, Dr. Imad Rizk. Yes, thank you very much for joining us today again, and it was very interesting and professional from your point of view to hear your lecture and to see the situation, the current situation. Thank you to my dear friends and professors, to Professor Karaganov and Baklanov for joining us today. It is a great pleasure for us to discuss such difficult and such difficult questions on during our seminar. And sorry for my late. I had some problems with technical, but now everything is okay and I with us. And I've heard your lecture. It was very interesting, and I have a question. Could you please share your vision about the future of Lebanese government? Will the Harris's cabinet will cope with current political and economic crisis? What do you think about this? It's very interesting for me and for us to know your point of view. Thank you.
If I can say my point of view or my analysis about the crisis, political crisis in Lebanon, first, we can talk about percentage. Let's say 25% of this crisis is internal, 75 is external, regional. So everybody knows that we have three levels of this, let's say, regional crisis. The first one, the competition, as I say, between Qatari and Turkish, Emirate, Egypt, and other country, Saudi. So this competition, we can see it in the Sunna region, if I can say, the Sunna influence policy or politics. The second one, the Shia in Lebanon, to be honest, they are related with the policy related to Hezbollah, they are related to the Iranian. So I cannot see any agreement or any settlement in Lebanon if they cannot use this card or this opportunity in Lebanon to make Iranian profit or to give them like a card or an opportunity to negotiate with the America, because stability of Lebanon, settlement, political settlement, balance of power between politics party is also, it's a part of consortium of agreement as maybe years from Taif. I'm talking about 1989 between American, Syrian, between American, Saudi, and Iranian. So the settlement, if we have to talk about to continue this settlement, it means Lebanon is a part of the settlement, like Syria, what's happening in Syria and Iraq and Yemen. So we are a part. This is why I'm talking about the competition, Sunnah competition. Second one, the Shia with the American. The third one, we have to be honest that also the future of the policy in Lebanon, it means Lebanon in the future will be pro-US policy or a pro, if I can say, or a balance between the US policy, European policy, and the East policy. It means we have the project of Silk Road project. We have the policy of to be East. It means a pro-Iraqi, Iranian, that they can invest with this East policy. So with all this competition, I cannot see that any agreement can be related to Hariri or to other people that can make the new government. And also personal relation between Hariri and the president. It's not also related to the political affair. It's related to some business. I'm honest. I'm talking this honestly. It's a business issue. We are talking about billions of dollars of investment. Who will manage the future of Lebanon? It means who will manage the gas and oil field, who will manage the future of investment, the SAD project of investment of French investment in Lebanon or European investment or American investment related to energy, related to infrastructure, reconstruct of Lebanon, the project of Syria. We are talking about billion of Lebanon will host the companies to rebuild Syria. So who will lead this opportunity? He will get hundreds or thousands of millions of dollars. So it's a business issue, not only political issue. This is why this competition, it's very hard. It's so complicated. And also we have the third, let's say, personal problem. It's related with a relation between Saudi Arabia and Hariri, especially because after what happened with Hariri before a few years in Saudi Arabia, his relation with Salman, with the King Salman, with the Mohammed bin Naif and the other prince in Saudi Arabia, it seems not, we don't have resolution for this crisis. So he was visiting Egypt, he was visiting Macron, just to have this opportunity to make through this, let's say, President Sisi, President Macron, to call the Saudi and to fix this problem. But I think till now the problem still the Saudi, they are not agree with Hariri as representing of their policies in Lebanon or to make the competition with other policy. This is why I think Hariri have some problem, but I think that in the future, this problem, if the regional crisis will be solved or will take or will start as indirect negotiation or indirect resolution for them, I can see that we can see a government, because the government in Lebanon, everybody knows, it's a international and regional consortium and agreement.
Thank you so much for your question, and for your answer, Dr. Now I want to give floor to Michelle. Raise hands. Just turn on microphone. Okay.
Hello. Dobry wieczór. Nasza drug Murad. Nashadrug, Dr. Imad Toje. I would like to say that Dr. Imad did a very beautiful presentation. I agree with a lot of points, but I would like to be more aggressive on the point of stability, the point of investment in the plot, specifically plot 9, which is on the border of Israel, and the mutual business profits between Russia and French on developing this plot, where it exists a part of it with the conflict of Israel. And I would like to share with the presence of the professors and all the attendees that this part will make late, as Dr. Imad said, the investment in the gas and oil, but there is a part that will be always on conflict, which I believe we need to ask our Russian friends. Couldn't be under a United Nations control and develop the second part, as Israel now is developing all their plots and doing money, while the people in Lebanon are suffering from their social situation. And Dr. Imad knows very well, and I believe you should know very well, that people are suffering from food, from medicine, from a lot of weaknesses of life. Second, I would be so appreciated to get an answer regarding the development business of the Russian especially that we heard a lot about the development of support of Russia on the crisis of the designation of the new ministry by Hariri, in addition to the push of His Excellency Mikhail Bogdanov regarding the directions, or it is unofficial, but to invest in Lebanon for some few business. So why we are still delaying time while we are see Orthodox brothers are suffering, Christians are suffering in the area, while President Putin said, I'm here for such religious parties before, and I mean, who will be the small numbering in the area.
So,
Okay.
Dr. Imad, please.
Yes.
The floor is yours.
It was a question.
It was a question, like, as I understand from our colleague shared, that the position of Russian Federation in Lebanese crisis. If Russia will intervene in resolving this crisis, if it will be with like Christian minority, as I understand, and he also said about some unofficial information about the speech of Special Representative President of Russia, His Excellency Lebanon, about interest of Russian companies in Lebanon, that. So maybe
As,
he put like a position of Russia in resolving this crisis.
as a Lebanese,
Yes, as a Lebanese.
I don't know officially the Russian policy, but as an expert, I can say that I try to say it. We need a balance with the American policy in the region. It's for the benefits of Russia, for the investment of Russia in the region, and for our benefits, let's say Lebanese, Arab, Syrian, Iraqi, all of these people who are living in this region under let's say, first radicalism, under undeveloped countries, under also we still living in an era of let's say post-Soviet period. So if you can see the changement in all this region, let's say the Arab Spring, let's say in Libya, in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq, all this country was post-Soviet when the competition was between the US and Soviet. So this is why I was talking about second wave of Arab Spring, because the policy of American, they want to get this country like what happened in the East Europe, like in Romania, Bulgaria, and all these 10 countries in the border with Russia. So if I was Russian or decision maker or analyst for decision maker in Russia, I can say I'm in Lebanon, or if I support Lebanon, the investment in Lebanon, or business, or any let's say exchange between Lebanon and Russia, my policy will not be related with the minorities or with the Orthodox, because I cannot see that President Putin have a good relation also with Netanyahu. It's not with Netanyahu, it's for the profit of Russia. So he have a good relation with President Bashar al-Assad, but at the same time, he make mediation for the future of Syria. He discussed with the opposition, and he was talking about peace, about settlement, about investment. So he's not related with the Alawists. He have a good relation with the Iranian government, but he is not involved against Saudi. This is why we have to look really and to talk really about the real Russian policy in the region. Russian policy in the region is not related with the minorities, or it's not related with the Orthodox, as I know. Maybe a part of this policy can be related with the Orthodox, but we are talking about international policy, we are talking about settlement with the US policy, so we are talking about investment, we are talking about business. So it's not related with one religious group. It's related with the liberalism of investment and liberalism of policy towards the business, toward the investment, and toward also the profit, the national security of Russia in the region. So Russia and the Middle East is a part of counter-terrorism. It's a part of good relation, historical good relation, cultural relation, maybe also some diaspora, because in Israel there is Russian, in Lebanon there is Russian, in Syria there is Russian, and all of them, they are Russian. They are not religious minorities or religious citizens. This is why we have to look to this, to the policy of Russia, not from the perspective of religious. We have to look in the perspective of international affairs and policies.
But you know, Dr. Imad,
I'm
sorry.
so sorry, Michelle. I'm so sorry. We just really run out of time. And if it's possible, maybe I know you know each other and you go to Lebanon, we can discuss, because we should ask only one more question from our participants. I'm so sorry. Dr. Rizk, thank you for your answer. Sometimes I want to say that not minority, like majority, maybe like Russian diaspora. So our question from Polina Vasilenko, one of our attendees, she is interested in question about the future of political process in Lebanon, and asked, given that currently the newly elected Prime Minister Saad Hariri has lost the support of Christians in the person of the leader of the Christian party, Brown Bassil, and President Aoun. Judging by the leaks in the media, do you see an alternative to his candidacy if the formation of a cabinet under his leadership fails, as did as it has happened to the office of Adib and Diab? What do you think? Or I can maybe repeat. Sorry, you turn on your microphone. Could you please turn on your microphone?
Sorry, I cannot hear the last speech.
Okay. Given that currently the newly elected Prime Minister Saad Hariri has lost the support of Christians in the person of the leader of the Christian party, Gibran Basir, and President Aoun. Judging by the leaks in the media, do you see an alternative to his candidacy? If the formation of
No,
okay,
it's as I say, Murad, and I'm talking frankly and open. The crisis of government, I separate the personal related to business, to investment, to money, and the regional crisis. So if the crisis in the region start to be solved, be sure that Hariri, maybe he is not the best, but he can be because of his good relation with Macron, with French, because of the opportunity that he, as Saad al-Hariri, he have the big Sunnah bloc in the parliament, and he still represent the power inside, let's say, Lebanon, and the regional impact of this related to his father and to some other things. So as a businessman, as a good relation, historical relation with some international topics. So this person can be, but the problem is related to business. Everybody knows that when the agreement was between the minister Gibran Bassil and who was representing also the big bloc of the Christian in Lebanese parliament, when this agreement was between Gibran Bassil and Saad al-Hariri, everything was good. President Aoun was elected, and we was going to prepare Sadr and to bring $22 billion for investment from European investment and some Arab country. But what happened is that something happened related to this agreement, and also the impact of the regional complication, because when the American leave the nuclear agreement, it was after the election of the President Aoun in Lebanon. So with this international or regional complication, I was sure that everything will be complicated. And we have to know that also it was some complication in the policy, Turkish policy toward the region, the clashes in Libya between Egypt and Turkish, and all of this. So Turkish also want to get from the Sunnah in Lebanon, in North Lebanon, Egyptian historical relation with the Sunnah in Lebanon, like Saudi Arabia and other. So it's a real competition. Okay, so it's not related to a person, it's related to a policy. This is why I can say, and I say it, if the regional agreement will start, be sure that the internal will be solved directly, because it's an issue, it's not ideological, it's related to business and money. And with money, everything can be solved.
I'm totally agree with you. That was one of the questions from our friends. So now I think, dear colleagues, if you have any question, you can ask. If you not, Zia, you have some question or no? I'm sorry. Okay.
No, I don't have any question.
Oh, okay, okay.
Thank you.
So before I will give floor to our moderator, Professor Baklanov, I would remind you that today with us, Dr. Imad Rizk. He's the director of Isticharia. He's one of the prominent Egyptian political element in Lebanon. So this event organized by Russian Middle East Association and the School of International Regional Studies of the Faculty of World Economy and International Affairs, HSE University, within the special online project Contemporary Area Studies. the head and coordinator of this project is Dr. Vera also today with us, and this is the special session of this project. It's 10 years anniversary of Arab Spring. Because we all know that it's interesting processes really turn on and turn to chaos all Middle East. Till now, we see some really difficult situations. For example, in Libya, in Syria, in Yemen, and etc. Even in Lebanon, in Iraq, because the Middle East will be changed, and I really believe everything will be okay. And first of all, for ordinary person, ordinary people, everything will be. So now I give floor to Professor Baklanov and Dr. Rizk.
Well, there was a question about the possibility of a more resolute role of the Russian Federation in settling these questions. I would say that we are reluctant about that, honestly speaking. We act individually and resolutely only when we see the visible danger for our interests, like it was in Syria, for instance. So it was a separate example of such a policy. In the majority of the cases, we think that the settling of the questions of the region, this is the primary preoccupation of the countries of the region. We can help them. We can give certain good services. We can extend our help, but we are not going to act instead of the regional parties concerned. Also, what we are thinking now about, I'll tell you frankly, and what we are going to discuss with the American colleagues on the 5th of the March, it's the opportunity or the necessity or not necessity of establishing of such kind of multilateral groupings on these very difficult issues, including gas and oil disputes and water resources disputes and some others. Well, actually, we had very interesting and positive experience in the beginning of 90s when these kind of groupings were in action. So if the regional countries would consider this idea to be good, okay, we can start moving in this direction, establishing of the bilateral groupings on the most vital and most difficult issues of the region. But of course, we cannot move individually. We are only one of the possible sponsors of this process, and we can act as sponsor, but no more than this. We cannot perform, of course, miracles. Murat, any other questions for the participants you are handling with this?
No, we have some question
Okay.
from Mr. Navrouzi. So he said, I just want to ask if China, Pakistan, and Afghanistan has impacts on this new competition, and I mean gas competition. Dear Navrouzi, could you please ask a question by yourself? Turn on your microphone.
Okay.
Yes, now. Okay.
Yeah,
Because I really get understand.
Okay, sorry. First of all, hello to everyone, to dear professor and to our guests. I'm Navrouzi from Afghanistan. So I just wanted to know that if Afghanistan, Pakistan, and China, if they have any impact on this new competition, because our guest told about the pressure on Iran. So Pakistan and Afghanistan, they are the neighbors of Iran, and also China, they helped the Pakistan government about $35 million. And I just wanted to know if these countries, regional countries, it has impact in these in this competition. Thank you.
Please, Dr. Rizk.
Yes.
Where's yours?
You hear me? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
As I was focusing on the region and Middle East, I can say that when we talk about Iran, relation with the Middle East is another issue, the relation with the Pakistan, Afghanistan. But what I see related to Taliban, especially when we see last year an agreement or like a peace agreement with the US through Qatar, and now we see that Biden say he will renew if he will continue this agreement or he stop it. We see that Taliban visit Iran. So everybody knows the involvement of Iran also. So if it will be an agreement, American-Iranian agreement, of course, Afghanistan will be like a space of we can see a new positioning of political party and also of the radical organization Taliban Qaeda. And also I can see the competition in Pakistan. It can be between Turkish that as a part of NATO, they have it was a visit from Erdogan to Pakistan, and he make Islamabad agreement last month. So Islamabad agreement, it's also related with a new competition through Turkish investment or policy through NATO against Chinese. And the Chinese, they profit from Pakistan as a corridor for investment and for Silk Road project, this belt and road and belt. So maybe it's not now, but as we can say, the American policy is like a domino effect. So they will start it from Middle East. Maybe the implication will be in Taiwan. So American-Chinese competition is also as a part, but in Middle East, maybe it can be so easy, and we can see it directly few months. Maybe in your region, Afghanistan, Pakistan, it will be like we will have to wait the domino to arrive. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now I want to give floor to Dr. Howard. Maybe you want to tell something.
Murat.
Yeah. Maybe you want to tell something.
I have some problems with my connection. That's why, yes, it's very slowly. Thank you very much. I think that we will have one topic maybe at the end of this year about the Pakistan and Afghanistan situation when the USA troops go out from this country. And I think that the situation will change a lot in this region, and maybe we have a real difficult situation in this country, in this region. As for today's topic, I would say that the situation in Lebanon is very difficult, and we met with our dear Dr. Imad Rizk last March, and we talked only about the coronavirus lockdown, yes, and we talk about the bright future of globalization, and we didn't know really how the situation could change, yes, and this situation has changed a lot after the explosion, yes, and we met the second time when we discuss the situation in Lebanon after the explosion in the port, and it was really disaster. And we, thanks to Dr. Imad Rizk, we knew a lot of things that not announced during, not announced in the mass media. And nowadays, today we discuss the situation in the region according to the or connected with the Arabic Spring, and I think that we have talk about the political situation in the region. But I think that we have a special topic for next our meeting, and it will be interesting to discuss the vaccine situation, the race of vaccine, because the Russian vaccine Sputnik 5, after this vaccine became the popular, the situation and the power of Russia has changed on the political stage. And I think that if we discuss the situation next time, it will be interesting, and maybe we will have the opportunity to find a lot of new ways to how to connect with Lebanon, with other countries in this region.
Yes.
Yeah, it's my offer for offer to you, Doctor.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, dear colleagues, I think it's time to sum up because time about 1.5 hours. It's really one of the maximum time for seminar. So first of all, if Dr. Nikova gives this authority, I want to thank you, Dr. Imad, to be with
Thank
us on behalf of the School of International Regional Studies. We meet with you, it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's third time, and all 3 times. It's really amazing. It's now it's interesting to listen because I know exactly that you know a lot of things about these processes, and every time it's really so fascinating. I'm so sorry, I have some problem with my voice. So I also want to thank our Professor Baklana for moderating this session, Dr. Vishnukova, and our Dean of the Faculty of World Economy and International Affairs, Professor Hanov, for giving us this opportunity to organize, to hold this beautiful event, which will popularize, in our opinion, the international regional studies, especially area studies. Because as we discussed previous time with you, and as I remember, Dr. Vishnikova asked a question, what do you think about the future of globalization? We discussed that the world is becoming more regionalized, not globalized. Means that area studies will be so interesting, and it will be maybe the novelty of this direction of science. So one more time, thank you so much. Thank you, our dear guest. Thank you for your interesting questions. For us, it's really great pleasure that different part of the world you see some of the colleagues from Afghanistan. I know that dear friend Michelle from Lebanon, our professor today also from Lebanon. There are, like, pandemic give us a lot of problems, but on the other side, it makes us closer. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So I think it's time to finish up. You have to tell
Dr. Imad, thank you very much for you, and I hope that we will meet in Moscow, maybe in nearest future, and you will
After
come
we take,
to us
after we take
give
Sputnik 5.
yeah, to give a special lecture and seminars for our colleagues and for our students. We are waiting for you, and I hope that everything will be okay as a person. Yes,
Yes.
maybe not as a political or not as a professor, as a person. I believe that everything will be okay, and we really have an opportunity to meet in Moscow here and to see.
I will organize it, don't worry.
Yeah.
As soon as possible.
Hope we will get our vaccines very soon,
Yeah.
especially for the Russian for the Russian patriots in Lebanon.
Friend, I've got the first step, and next week I will get the second phase of Sputnik, and I will talk you. Yeah,
We'll organize a meeting
my
about the experience.
Murad,
Yes.
Murad,
Yes.
I would like to raise a point, please. As we have our wives as Russian Federation members, we would like to ask to get our portion excluded from the Lebanese government, please.
So, you know, if I have this authority, I will do it. As you know, I always do my best, but as you know, I don't have any relations with this vaccine.
But I think
Out
that
of my
Baklanov, yes,
yes, Professor Baklanov maybe will help me.
Yeah, Mr. Rizk, thank you so much for your sober analysis of the situation. We are very happy to see you, to listen to you always. And of course, all of us and Mrs. Vishnikova and Murad and me, we are going to extend an invitation to the annual conference, which will be on the 27th of April. So the questions which we discuss will be the core of the discussion, and it will be possible also to see of the sides we discussed and ask them directly what they think. And so we're expecting that this will be a very interesting discussion, and we are preparing for that, and we would like to collaborate with you while preparing our annual meeting. Thank you so much once more. It was a real intellectual pleasure to have you.
We will send the invitation for you about our conference, which will held on the April, at the end of the April.
It will be 28th of April. It's our roundtable within the framework of April.
We keep in touch, and thank you. And sure, till this time, take care about yourself, and we will see you in good health, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. مع السلامة يا صديقي.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting. Thank you for joining us
And
today.
Mr. Rizk, don't settle all the questions before the April conference. We must have some questions to discuss, you know. Be cautious settling of the conflicts, you know.
Yes.